When we were organizing our 100th anniversary, we were trying to come up with exhibits or things to give people kind of a flavor of what it was like during our 100 years of service. And somebody, I think it was our executive director, Tim Tagey, had come up with the idea of kind of a stroll through the decades, where we would have a walkthrough exhibit at our event where there would just be pictures representing different aspects of who we've been over the last 100 years, with roughly one picture representing each decade. So we decided to do that. While selecting the pictures, a lot of thought went into what was happening in that decade, what was happening in our nation, what was happening locally in Toledo, what was happening with the field and with rehabilitation. So each picture was kind of based upon that. Some of them were really obvious, what was going on. Our very first picture is one of my favorite of our 10, and it features a teacher for the blind named Helen Lapp, and she is instructing a student on how to sew. And Helen would instruct her students on how to sew and do other activities which could make them money. They learned how to make things, and that gave them an income, something that they didn't have before. For the 1930s, it was the talking book program, which still exists to this day. So there's a picture of some of our participants listening to the very first talking book machine that our agency ever had, and that is a very powerful image. For the 1940s, that was the start of our industrial aspects of our organization. The former house had a carriage house attached to it, and that was the very first workshop. And one of our first major contracts was a subcontract from the Ohio and Michigan Paper Company, producing waterproof envelopes that would be used to ship things overseas. Moving on to the 1950s, we got our building on Canton Avenue and the expansion of the industrial, including the major contract that we had with AP Parts. And this image also features our very first two Board of Trustee presidents, Edward Evans and John Gerlich. For the 1960s, we have Rosalind Snow, which was our organization's first mobility instructor, in Ginny Place, using what was then our mobility bus. We used to have a mobility bus that we would take around and teach people how to get on and off the bus. In the 1970s, there was a focus on home rehab with one of our instructors in the home of a client and instructing her on how to put on makeup. The 1980s brought SCAN. Madge Levinson is overseeing a woman in this picture who is reading the local news from the newspaper. This was a service that we had from 1989 to roughly 2006. It was a radio reading service that was broadcast on the SAP channel of both WGTE and WBGSU. 1992 saw the start of our low vision clinic. And what I really love about this picture is our eye doctor is actually examining a child. And we don't always get associated with providing services for kids, which is something that we still do and have always done. The 2007 picture is a great picture for a number of reasons. It is the grand opening of our current home located on 1002 Garden Lake Parkway. It features a guide dog named Althea, and it also features two of our executive directors from our history presenting our mosaic that's in our lobby. And the picture features John Davies, who was instrumental in getting us this facility, and then current executive director Don Christensen. And the most recent picture comes from the 2010s. In March of 2015, we opened our shop. And that is still a major touch point for our clients, and also for people in the community are able to shop here for low vision devices. If there was anything that I think that we didn't quite represent, I would say that it was probably the recreational. I wish that we could have had one more picture to put in somewhere that kind of represented that. There was a lot of social organizations that were a part of our founding, and a number of regular activities that used to go on, including camp. There were dances, the race car rally, those types of events. So that is the one thing that I wish that we could have depicted. So I'm not sure what will be our picture representing this current decade. We'll just have to kind of wait and see, but I'm kind of excited to see what that will be. But whatever it is, I'm sure that it's going to be great.